Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
This is a live looking at Taj Lounge 973 as I'm your host, Sam Woo, here with Vinnie Parise, a Pucks and Pitchforks blog. Oops, made a mistake right there with the camera, but anyway, it's okay. Nobody else does this. As the Devils are taking on the Dallas Stars today at the Prudential Center, streaming live on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Twitter Live, and Twitch on the Primetime Radio Network. Vinny, how are you, my friend? Lots of news going on today. Dallas Stars come into town, but the Devils will be without one of their goaltenders.
Ideal, but also like kind of okay with him going on injured reserve. You know, maybe he can really truly get healthy, come back and be the Mackenzie Blackwood that we know he can be. I wrote an article on pucksandpitchforks.com about riding the hot hand and using John Gillies as long as, you know, they need to. And let me be clear. I don't think John Gillies is like the future. Some people were saying like, oh, how can you want this guy over? I said ride the hot hand. Right now he has been hotter than any goalie on the Devils roster in the last couple of games. He gave them a chance to win against the Kings, even though it was a heartbreaking loss. And they did beat the Carolina Hurricanes. So, you know, it's an interesting time in New Jersey Devils land right now.
Yeah, you know, I've said all along, I don't think his heel has, you know, healed, no pun intended, or was there a pun there? I don't know. But, and, you know, look at where the Devils are in the standings right now. Late January. Rest him. He needs to get better. Let's not rush him. We're not in a playoff push by any stretch. Right now, I think we're going to have to slow down the process a little bit. Take a look at John Gillies, Akira Schmid coming down from Utica, recalled today. What is that? What's that road? 87 South. That's basically what he did, and got to the Prudential Center. So he is with the team. The Devils' goaltending has been, let's just say, the numbers haven't been good. They've been hurt. Jonathan Bernier was supposed to be that backup, that 1A, 1B combo, but for now, both 1A and 1B are on the shelf. Now you're going to 1C and 1D. Let's stay positive about it.
Yeah, when it was 1A and 1B early in the season, the Devils were winning some games. And they were getting production from their depth players. And really the top guys weren't even going yet. Jesper Bratt, Nico Hischier, not really going full speed offensively to start the year. And Jack Hughes was hurt. They were getting a lot of scoring from Andreas Johnson and Dawson Mercer and, you know, guys like that. And then all of a sudden, Nico Hischier starts scoring. He's been one of their hottest forwards. Jack Hughes is Jack Hughes. He's one of the better offensive playmakers that the team has already had. But now the goaltending stinks. And it's really the absolute reason that they have lost some games. I fully blame Blackwood's kind of bad performance for kind of taking the wind out of the Devils against the Coyotes. Obviously, a lot of things went wrong against the Coyotes. It's not fully on him, but I mean, it just can't be that bad of goaltending if you want to win. And it's a problem we're not necessarily used to here in New Jersey Devils land. I mean, you go from Marty Brodeur to Corey Schneider. Even Keith Kincaid was awesome while he was here. until, he started to fade out in terms of the fan base hating him and all that. But, I mean, goaltending hasn't always been a Devils problem. It's normally been one of their strong points, and that's just not the case right now. So hopefully they're able to see John Gillies or Nico Dawes or someone come in and play well in Blackwood's place. But like you said, does anybody actually think the Devils are winning the Stanley Cup if they somehow won 5 in a row and got themselves into playoff contention and ultimately made it? No. They'd probably get smoked by Tampa, Florida, or Boston in the first round. I mean, go do what you got to do to get this team healthy. Continue watching Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes play well. Jasper Bratt's their leading scorer. Continue watching him be one of the better sixth-round picks that the team has ever made, if not the best sixth-round pick the team has ever made. Have a good lottery spot. It's a very good draft. Who knows? The Devils have had a little bit of a horseshoe in terms of draft lottery luck in the last couple of years. So maybe you land someone like Shane Wright or something like that, one of the top guys in the draft. So I don't know. I'm all in on just viewing the rest of this season. It sucks because we're saying it for like the 10th year in a row, but view the rest of this season as building for the future.
Well, I got to say, let's go back in time of New Jersey Devils history with goaltenders. When the team came here from Colorado, you had the lovable and good friend of the podcast, by the way, Chico Resch. And then the 80s was bad. Then you had Sean Burke come in, the rookie season, and what happened? They go to the playoffs, that magical run, and then they got stopped by Boston. Have another donut. You remember that? Then you've got the Craig Billington, the Chris Terreri tandem, then a very young Martin Brodeur, I believe, and Craig Erickson, I think that's the name. These were two young goaltenders filling in when the 1A and 1B were on the injury reserve when Terreri and Billington went down. Then, obviously, Marty Brodeur becomes the starting goaltender. I believe Terreri was the starting goaltender in 93, 94, starting the season, but it was Marty Brodeur that came alive. And then it was Marty Brodeur and Chris Terreri, Marty Brodeur, and Mike Dunham. Mike Dunham was taken in the expansion draft, and then there was a Corey Schwab somewhere mixed in. Richard Shomistra, Peter Sidorkowitz, all sorts of names. But it was just Marty Brodeur. Didn't matter who it was Marty Brodeur. Then you had John Van Beesbrook, and then, and there's a lot of,
Scott Clemenson, Kevin Weeks, guys like that.
A lot of these guys, but never, since that time period in the early 90s, have we ever had so many goaltenders go down where actually Brodeur was the emergency backup goaltender, not the E-Bug, but you know what I mean, called up from Utica back in 92, I believe. And I remember as an 8th grader in school, I had a choice. I remember this very well. Do you want to go to the game against Boston on Thursday, or do you want to go to the game on Sunday versus the Quebec Nordiques? And, of course, my mother said, no, you got to go to school on Friday. You don't have school on Monday. So I chose that game, and that happened to be Brodeur's second ever career game. I actually missed the Marty Brodeur in the game against Boston in 90. I believe it was in 91 or 92. I don't remember. But anyway, I remember those days. And, and back then when you watched him in warm-ups, everyone was like, who the hell's this guy? But, right now, let's get back to 2022. Mackenzie Blackwood is out, but he's been hurt the entire time. I think this is a good move. But Corbin in the Facebook Live asked, why would Ruff be playing a hurt goalie all year? Bad coaching move. What are your thoughts, Vinny?
Well, to be clear to me that within the last week or so, Mackenzie Blackwood has been more honest about the status of his health. Like, he basically pulled himself out of being the starter on Sunday. Maybe early in the season, things weren't as transparent as they are right now. And I don't know if that's a result of the stuff that Blackwood dealt with in terms of the COVID vaccine and being one of like 5 players who was unvaccinated. And he already knew that people were doubting him and all this sort of thing. But I honestly, I have no explanation for it. If he was hurt this entire year and the heel's been bugging him this whole time and they're just now doing something to deal with it, that is bad coaching. That's bad organizational decision-making on the part of the New Jersey Devils. And it really might have cost them Mackenzie Blackwood's entire career. That might be extreme, but it's possible. He has not looked good recently. He has not looked good this season. And I've said it on this show 1,000 times. I've written it in blogs. I've tweeted it. Mackenzie Blackwood was looking like a potential top 10 goalie in the NHL. This is real. He was on Team Canada's short list of goalies to possibly play in the Olympics this year. And I promise if he didn't make it this year, there was a really good chance he would have made it in 2026. We'll see if COVID and all that allows
well,
NHL
maybe
goalies.
That's your answer right there, Vinny. Maybe you answered your own question. Maybe it was the Olympics. Hey, if the Olympics are in 2022 and you just come off from a heel injury, put me in, coach. I'd keep my mouth shut, especially if you're on the short list. I forgot about that.
And if you want to play in the Olympics that bad, you will get on the NHL ice. You will play through anything to try and play in the Olympics if you physically can, obviously. And Blackwood was obviously able to step on the ice and attempt playing goalie with his heel injury, and it just hasn't worked out very well. It might have cost him a lot of money. It might cost him a career. It might cost him playing time the rest of this year, next year. Just get healthy, man, and show us what you could do, because I know, there's some haters out there. I'll just say it. There are some people just fully out on Blackwood. I don't see that being the case. That's not me right now. It could be in a bit. But give him a chance to get healthy and show what he could do when that's the case.
Yeah, well, Michael Hay in the Facebook Live, he always chats with us, good friend of the podcast. Michael Hay, he said that he'll be at Taj Lounge 973, but I'm going to go into the live look, and where is Michael Hay? I can't find Michael Hay at the bar. Do you see him at the bar? Where is he? Michael Hay.
I'm not seeing him, but I'm seeing some people over there enjoying their drinks and hopefully a nice meal before the Devils game today. Hope you guys are all having
beers
fun.
Before the game, the catfish, the wings.
Order the catfish, guys. Yeah. I don't see much catfish going on right there. I need one cheese. Oh yeah,
mac and cheese is amazing. It's amazing. I actually had it, and you know what? It was pretty good. It was really good. So, anyway, so moving on. Devils played Dallas last game. I mean, I harped on Jack Hughes because right now I want to see Jack Hughes improve. I want Jack Hughes to mature. And I pointed out there were a number of mistakes in the last game. I think Jack Hughes, it's one of those things, a high-risk, high-reward type of player because he's very talented, but he's got to simplify his game a little bit. That ill-advised drop pass gave the Kings a little momentum early in the game, and it was basically an odd-man rush the other way, and guess what happened? The Kings scored. And then there was another where, he could have just dumped it in the zone, but instead try to, along the boards, try to do something, and then suddenly it's the other way, transition. Arvidsson scores, tie it up, and then the game winner. Now, there were multiple infractions on that play. Number one, PK Subban was gallivanting behind the net. What are you doing behind the net? And then Ryan Graves was pulled out, slid over. He's near the glass on the line, and there you have it. Carl Grundstrom wide open in the slot. Boom, 3-2 Kings. A lot of things to work on there, and you got to have the self-discipline to protect the puck and not always try to make something of nothing. I'll give you an analogy. It's kind of like a quarterback that just holds on to the ball too long. Just throw it out of bounds and live another day. No harm, no foul.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. And there were some people getting on Jack Hughes for some of the goals that the Kings scored. A couple of them were turnovers that, he was trying to create offense and it led to a rush the other way. And obviously a team like the Kings is going to bury some of these chances, and they did in this game. Well, Jack Hughes, he just so reminds me of a young Patrick Kane. I mean, Kaner used to do the same type of thing. He would try to create offense. He tried to be a little too pretty from time to time, and it led to other teams scoring and inability to play defense. But then it was like magical. Like once he figured out how to avoid turning the puck over like that, just trying to create offense, he ended up with more points. So when you use your gifts to play hockey the right way, the offense will come. So as Jack Hughes starts to figure that out, he'll end up even getting more points than he's already getting, and he's a point-per-game player. So Jack Hughes fixed the mistakes a little bit. It'll come with time and playing, and just ignore the people who will get so mad at it. I mean, it's just part of development. The kid's 20. I mean, these things will get figured out, and it'll lead to more points. I truly believe that. Defense turns into offense a lot of the time.
Yeah, and and it's not a bad thing, folks. This is part of the growing pains. Some players with Jack Hughes' stature, Patrick Kane, you said, and you can talk about all the legends of the past. I'll even delve into other sports like Michael Jordan when he first, came into the league. They want to win so bad that there is more on the individual, but at the end of the day with hockey, it's a team sport. You have to lead by example because, if you're taking these risks, some of the young players are going to take risks as well. I think that's why the more the Devils rebuild goes on, the more I now appreciate what Jacques Lemaire did for the Devils back in the mid-90s. He brought a structure. And with that structure, he brought a culture change of team first mentality. Scott Stevens, an all-around defenseman, offensive, defensive, hard-hitting defenseman, suddenly became the guy, the shutdown guy, and the leader. And everybody followed and did their jobs. And again, these are the early steps of Jack Hughes. I would expect him to have a cleaner game tonight.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching Jack play. The Dallas Stars are a good team, but they're also not like a perfect team. The Devils will get their chances. Jack Hughes will be able to create some offense. There are a lot of what I like to call riverboat gambler type defensemen on the Dallas Stars. Miro Heiskanen's a pretty good two-way player. Ryan Suter's there. Obviously, Klingberg is their offensive guy. Especially Klingberg and to some degree, not really Heiskanen to some, I don't know. But there are guys that Jack Hughes should be able to maybe create some offense against a little bit. And their forwards too. Dallas Stars they're like a young team, but also have a fair amount of veterans like Pavelski. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can do against them. I am expecting Jack Hughes to have a pretty big night, though. Jesper Bratt was the goal scorer against the Kings, and he scored two on two nice plays by Damon Severson, of course, on the first goal, and then it was Jack Hughes making the pass on the second goal. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes tonight. I kind of like Nico Hischier in a game like tonight, where there'll be Joe Pavelski on the other side, and there'll be some decent resistance, but also a chance to create offense. That to me screams Nico Hischier, so that's who I'm expecting to have a big game tonight. But Jack Hughes, he's going to get his offensive chances in pretty much every game he plays at this point. We're at that point with Hughes.
Yeah, and for those that are listening, this is the Let's Go Devils podcast, Game Day Live. You can find us on Facebook at Let's Go Devils Podcast, on Twitter at Let's Go Devils Pod, our YouTube channel, Let's Go Devils, and on Twitch at Let's Go Devils Podcast. Vinny, going into tonight's game, the Stars are pretty good, but it's not like who you think that leads in scoring that's leading the team right now. Not Jamie Benn. Who are these people?
Yeah, so Rupe Hintz leads Dallas in goals. and Joe Pavelski leads them in points. Joe Pavelski looks like the Joe Pavelski that played for the San Jose Sharks all those years ago. He's found the fountain of youth. We all knew Joe's a great player. He, in my opinion, Devils fans remember Zach Parise, right? Elite player in front of the net. Give Zach Parise a little more size and maybe even a tad bit better at tipping pucks, and you have Joe Pavelski. I mean, this guy's unbelievable. They have Jason Robertson, who was second in Calder Trophy voting last year, behind the great Kirill Kaprizov of the Minnesota Wild. So I like this Dallas team. They have a lot of fun players to watch. I think they're a couple pieces away from being like a true playoff team. They might squeak in this year, but Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn, they're still there. They're still good players. They make a lot of money, but it's not the Tyler Seguin, Jamie Benn show anymore like it once was. You almost kind of wish that some of these guys would have rolled through Dallas while Benn and Seguin were the players that they used to be. But if those guys can really elevate their game, because I don't believe Benn and Seguin need to be like done. We don't need to done chain them or anything like that. Like Joe Pavelski, he found the fountain of youth. Benn and Seguin aren't even that old, really. So the Dallas Stars, they could be a dangerous team. They were in the Stanley Cup final like 2 years ago in the bubble. So it's not even like they're that far removed from too much playoff success anyway. It took the Tampa Bay Lightning, who are back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, to defeat Dallas anyway. So they're that team. They were kind of disappointing last year. I like their team. I think they have a chance to at least squeak in the playoffs, and then we'll see from there. But the Devils are going to have their hands full tonight with some of those outstanding young forwards they have.
Yeah, going to some of the comments. Let's go to YouTube Live. Bassett Guy. I know the fan base has been a bit torn prior to this season, but I hope that this injury to Dougie and the situation has really shined on how important Severson can be for us. I think it's a great point.
Yeah, it's absolutely a great point. You get no disagreement from me on that.
Yeah, also I'm going to go to the Facebook Live. Corbin, honestly, I feel next year is the year we transition to a playoff team. The good thing is we are built to be there for years to come. Just need get a couple key players. I agree with that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I had a discussion with our editor-in-chief at Pucks and Pitchforks via text message yesterday. He's working on a piece revolving some prospects. I don't want to give away the exact details of the piece.
You got a name drop. Oh, okay.
I didn't say his name. I meant to say his name if I didn't. Nick Villano, of course. I don't want to fully drop what he's working on because, that's a surprise, but it has something to do with prospects. That's my hint. And he was just saying, like, the Devils have some really good prospects. And Heishier and Hughes and Bratt are young at the NHL level. They have Dougie Hamilton for a long time. People forget Dougie Hamilton because he's got a broken jaw right now. But, like, he's sick. So we'll see what happens when he returns and how he plays. But the Devils, they're not as bleak as some people make it out to seem. They stink right now. Their goaltending's not good. They have to address that issue. But they have Graves. Ty Smith is there. I know he's had a rough year, but we saw what he can do when he's confident and playing at his best last year. Luke Hughes just made a Twitter today. Go follow him. But, I'm not so upset with where the Devils are as an organization. People are mad because it's taken forever. But anything pre-2015 to me is irrelevant anyway, because it was Lou Lamoriello trying to hang on to the core that went to the Cup in 2012 up until that point. And then even it all changed a little bit even when Ray Shero got fired. So really it's like from trading Taylor Hall on to now, and it's been mostly okay. Dawson Mercer is good. So hopefully they're able to really kind of end the season strong, and next year could be there. It all depends on Hughes and Heishier, though, in the end. Those two's development down the middle, leading the team in scoring and all that kind of stuff is really what truly matters. If they don't develop into superstar players, then maybe the Devils aren't as far along as we think. But as of right now, all signs are positive with those guys.
Yeah, and again, with the goaltending, think about it. Nico Dawes, Akira Schmid, they did very well down in up in Utica, and it takes time. It takes time to develop. Just remember Jesper Bratt and Nathan Bastian and Mikey McLeod. There was some high expectations because we really wanted to rebuild, and the Devils had some pretty high draft choices. But when you look at that 2016 draft, first pick, Mikey McLeod. Second pick, Nathan Bastian. Was Brad the 6th round in that same class? I believe so, right?
I want to
Or was
say
he 2015?
Brat was in the 2016 draft for sure because he's the leading scorer, or he's the second leading scorer of any player not taken in the first round. If you exclude players taken in the first round, only Alex DeBrincat has more points from that draft.
Yeah, and it takes time for them to develop. Now, who kind of fell off the wagon a little bit was Pavel Zacha, 2015 draft choice. So when you talk about 2016, 2015, 2016, it takes about 5 years, 6 years to develop. And Jesper Brack, was an unlikely pick to start in 2017. If you remember that he had a great camp, great rookie camp as well. So, but yeah, so also I want to address Joey Giordina. Come on, Joey. We used to make fun of Beer Baron and his background, and he never changed it, and whatever. But our fans, they expect perfection. So he says, "Hey, Vinny, I think you're great, but the echo in your room is horrendous. You need to hang up some Devil's gear to reduce the echo." Let me tell you something, Joey Giordina. We're working on it. Number one, Vinnie Parise just moved. He goes all out
And I'm not in my
set up.
I'm not in my permanent house. I'm in between houses. So that's my excuse for that. I'm not trying to make you feel bad or anything, but that's the truth. I'm in between houses right now. So that's not going to change for a little bit here.
Yeah. On top of everything else, he's writing for Pucks and Pitchforks. He's writing everywhere. He's everywhere. He's a busy guy. I have to talk to his agent to see if I can get him on at 6 p.m. Eastern. And he's on the Central. Hey, you know what? You just got to roll with the punches here. All right, Joey? No, we're just kidding around. Yeah, we know that, Joey. We're definitely going to work on that. But right now, Vinny's in transition right now. And, he's kind of like Mackenzie Blackwood. He's kind of in limbo right now. But he's still doing the podcast.
I'm finally getting my life in order. And people are ripping me for no, I'm kidding.
Gotta love our fans. They pay attention to all the little details. Also, Ray Leo went to the game on Saturday. Wednesday, we gave away tickets from courtesy of JCB Architectural, and he got to witness a 7-4 victory over the Carolina Hurricanes. So we're going to start figuring out, guys, we didn't win the lottery or anything, but we'll try to get some free stuff for you because I got some stuff in the basement. I'm like, I think the fans would like a picture of the 2000-2001 team that went to the Cup Finals. Something that resembles winning.
Arguably the best Devils team of all time.
Yeah.
They didn't win the Cup, but you can argue they were the best Devils team ever.
I'll tell you what. I'll say it, and I'll say it again. That whole cup was rigged for Ray Bourque. I'm telling you, every freaking commercial. They even took our 16W. 16W was the exit to get to the Meadowlands. And then suddenly it's Mission 16W for Ray Bourque. And then the Stanley Cup Finals. Go look at the videotape. It's on YouTube. Game 1 Stanley Cup Finals in 2001. Colorado versus New Jersey. And then they show the nice pasture, the cows, the Rocky Mountain High, how great Colorado is. And then what did they show of New Jersey? The Turnpike, like a road sign. And it's like, what? It was like the whole thing was rigged for Ray Bourque. I still, you know what, if there's one conspiracy theory I'll never let down for the rest of my life is the fact that it was so rigged for Ray Bourque. That Scott Gomez goal should have counted in Game 6. I'm still mad about it, but hey, you know what, Vinny?
They made it up to you 2 years later.
Well, you know what? Yeah, they did. That was called a makeup cup. That's what I call it, a makeup cup, because they should have won in 0-1. It's just, but that Colorado team, they had Patrick Waugh, Joe Sakic, Rob Blake on defense,
Oh
Adam
yeah.
Foote,
Oh yeah. They were great.
Peter
There's no doubt
Forsberg, but he
about
got
it.
hurt. But he did get
Yep.
hurt. I think, honestly, before we go, I honestly think what changed the entire Cup final was not during the Cup final. I think it's when Ty Domi hit Scott Niedermayer, because Scott Niedermayer was having a great playoffs, and that with that cheap shot, that elbow where Scott Stevens was in the box like a caged animal ready to pounce on Domi, that I think Scott Niedermayer wasn't the same for the rest of the way, that in the entire playoffs.
Very fair.
And I think, and you know what, but, things happen, whatever. Poor Scott Niedermayer. Anyway, well, we're just we're just already past past the hour. So, all right. So, Vinny, predictions before we go.
Yeah. So last week or on Sunday, I had the Devils beating the Kings 4-3, and they lost 3-2. So let's try and reverse it. Let's say the Devils beat the Kings by a score of 3-2. Or not the Kings,
Okay.
the Stars, the Dallas Stars. They will beat the Dallas Stars 3-2.
Okay. Beat the Dallas Stars 3-2. I think Jack Hughes is going to go mad. I think he's just going to skate around players. I'm saying a 6-4 victory over the Dallas Stars today. Don't know why. People think I'm crazy. But you know what? I don't care. I like my pick.
I think you're crazy, but that's not why.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Vinny. I want to thank all those at Taj Lounge 973. Also, thank all those watching us. We'll drop the podcast in about 20 minutes. Remember, Devils After Dark, after the game, Scotty of SiriusXM, Liquid Metal, and I will recap the game that was. Thank you, Vinny. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jesse. Make sure you tip the bartenders at Taj Lounge 973 35 Edison Place across the street from Prudential Center. Enjoy the game, everybody. This is Game Day Live. Let's go, Devils.